Pour yourself a cold one.
Let's strike 'em, huh?
And listen to Ross Tucker break down the top college prospects on another tasty edition of The College Draft.
Yeah, it's Daddy Soda time here on the College Draft Podcast, presented, of course, by DraftKings. I'm Ross Tucker, former NFL offensive lineman, 5 teams, 7 years. You guys know that. Those of you that watch us on YouTube, youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL. You can see the different teams I played for: Washington, Dallas, Buffalo, New England, Cleveland. Although I didn't even ask for my helmet. I was so mad when they cut me. I didn't even ask for anything. I wanted no recollection of having been there. You can check me out on social media at Ross Tucker NFL. We are at Ross Tucker Pod. And remember, okay, this week, you can get one of these awesome press passes that I get at these college games or NFL games I do. I did the Eagles Texans last Thursday. I'll do the Eagles Commanders coming up this Monday. You can get one of these awesome press passes. All you got to do this week is rate and review any of the shows, including this one, on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or however it is you listen. Then send it to me, Ross at rosstucker.com. Really easy way to win. By the way, appreciate your patience this week with us not having the show College Draft recording until Wednesday. Obviously, Emory was traveling Monday. I had issues yesterday because I was in Akron for the Maction game last night. So we're getting it to you here Wednesday morning. It's kind of nice, though, to get a couple tweets from people saying, when is College Draft Podcast dropping? When's College Draft? They want their Emory hunt. At FBall Game Plan on Twitter, Football Game Plan on YouTube, and of course, the best draft guide that's out there, footballgameplan.com/2023 draft guide. You were back home or something, weren't you, Emory?
Yeah, CBS Sports had me in New Orleans I got there on Thursday, so I surprised my mom on Thursday, and mom and oldest.
You surprised her?
I surprised. She had no clue, bro. I rang the
doorbell. Oh my gosh!
It was crazy. I until I was coming down, I rang the doorbell, and she came through the door. She's looking through the pane glass. She has to do a double take, and she said, "I thought you was NOPD because I had on a blue Football Game Plan shirt with the logo." She was like, why would they be here at the door? Then she opened. She was shocked. She had no clue I was coming down, and she was able to. Her and my older sister were able to come and check me out on Sunday, on set doing my thing. So that was just great. It was great to see.
Emory, you are the man, dude. As if I already didn't think you were awesome. That is so cool that you surprised her. I mean, she must have been so happy.
He was super shocked. And it was because again, I'm normally down there in January, like the day before I drive down to Mobile for the Senior Bowl. And so she had no clue. And again, I found out about this trip last weekend as I was going to Harrisburg to do my last high school game. CBS hit me up, say, "Hey, would you be available to go to New Orleans?" So I had to call Georgetown and get someone to replace me because I was supposed to have a game last weekend. Like, yeah, I'll go down that way. So I had to sit on this information, for a whole week, knowing I was going to get there Thursday, and did a great job keeping a secret. Surprised her, took her to lunch on Friday, and she was able to come and check me out on Sunday. That part was probably the most emotional I got because we don't think in terms of how our parents view us, right? And the fact that they are here to see us doing things like this that they couldn't fathom, growing up as children, is that part right there was the best part of the whole thing. For her to see me live doing my thing, as opposed to seeing clips of video, stuff like that, and seeing how everything's set up. So it was pretty cool.
She must be so proud, and she should be, with everything you've accomplished. That's so cool. I know my mom tries to consume everything I do, radio. It's funny, Emory, you'll appreciate this. So everybody knows that's listening or watching us that when you do a game on TV, right at the start of the game, you're on camera and it's 2 minutes and you say something. That's the only part my mom watches, Emory. She DVRs every game I do. She watches the first 2 minutes to see what I look like and see me. Then she's smart enough to fast forward till the end of halftime, which is the next time that we're on camera. And that's it. She doesn't care about the rest of the game. She just wants to see her son on TV. It's so funny, man. Speaking of that, by the way, did some action last night. Some decent pro prospects in that game. City Sal, the left guard for Eastern Michigan, is a good player, road grader, but has some versatility because he's played tackle in his career. Jose Ramirez, their DN, has had a really nice season. They think he's a draftable player. For Akron, I don't think you've checked him out yet. Emory, maybe you have.
Number one?
No. Well, number one was amazing last night. Cam Wiley. He played very well. I'm telling you now, he got hurt last night, and he's only a junior. Actually, I think he's maybe a sophomore. Their quarterback, DJ Irons, Emory, he's the most gifted quarterback I think I've seen all year. They have him throwing deep outs from the far hash all game. And then when he runs, he's 6'6", 210, but he's electric. Like, he's got some serious twitch and juice in his legs and in his arm. He is a talented. Unfortunately, he got hurt in the second quarter last night, reaching his arm out for a touchdown and got knocked out of the game. Otherwise, Akron might have won that game. They lost 34-28. But you got to check out some tape on him. I'm amazed at the throws they ask him to make over and over again, and he makes them. He's completing 67% of his passes.
Listen, I'm a Joe Moorhead guy, so I'm all in on DJ Irons. I'm writing the name down right now. I know if anybody will get their quarterback position right, it's going to be Moorhead.
No question. Let's dive into some of the games this week, including Colorado at USC. USC is favored by 34 points. As a reminder, this podcast, if you're new, first of all, welcome. We love getting new listeners or new viewers. Secondly, this podcast is 3 podcasts in one, right? So it's a college football podcast talking about some of the biggest games of the weekend. It's an NFL draft podcast because Emory's as good of an NFL draft analyst as there is, and he breaks down some of the top prospects in these games. And number 3, it's a college football betting podcast because Emory makes his picks against the spread. And by the way, if you're not that familiar with Emory, former running back from University of Louisiana, the Ragin' Cajuns. You can see the jersey in the back if you check us out, youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL. And now he does high school games. He does college games. He does NFL stuff. He's all over CBS Sports HQ. He's still running the franchise that is Football Game Plan. He's the man. Speaking of the franchise for me right now, Emory, Labatt Blue Light. Love it, especially when it's like tailgating or after a game. My whole fridge is now that white can of Labatt Blue Light. No better beer on game day, whether you're tailgating at the game or watching at home, than the pristine, love that word, Canadian goodness of a cold Labatt Blue Light in hand. Always enjoy responsibly. Beer, Labatt USA, Buffalo, New York. Colorado has an edge rusher who caught your attention, Emory, in Terrence Lang.
Yeah, he caught my attention because I feel like he can rush over both the tackles and the guards. So I like his versatility there. And he has that Oa Odigizua type aggressiveness. When he's kind of relentless and just in his pursuit of the quarterback. And it's tied to why I chose this game, even though Colorado's going to get drummed. It's the fact that they're going to need him to have a huge game to disrupt Caleb Williams in the passing offense of USC. But I think because of his relentlessness and his versatility, I'll be interested to see how he tracks as a pro. I know he's on the Senior Bowl watch list, a guy that, again, can rush over the tackle and over the guard, probably is a better 5 tech than anything at the pro level, but definitely has some versatile skill set.
So here's a question. Why and how is Colorado this bad? Like Colorado, when we were growing up, man, they were legit. They would get dudes from Cali who were ballers. I remember like Alfred Williams and Canavis McGee. They had two DNs that were like 6'6", 260, murdering people. Eric Bieniemy, Darian Hagan. Like, do you remember those guys, Emory, or are you too young?
I actually went to school with Bieniemy's cousin because Bieniemy is from New Orleans. Hagens is from New Orleans. And that's the other part of it. They had a pipeline from Los Angeles, New Orleans, going straight to Boulder, and Cordell Stewart, New Orleans. You know what I'm saying? So
I didn't know that. Hagan, Bieniemy, and Cordell Stewart are all New Orleans?
yeah.
I had no idea.
That is crazy how big of Nebraska had that same Big 8 football. Nebraska and Colorado had that same pipeline from New Orleans and also from Los Angeles. And once that went away and they joined the Big 12, that went away. And so hence the drought that they've been in, and so so Colorado used to always have someone from New Orleans that in particular John Ehret High School. They used to have a lot of guys from the West Bank in New Orleans going up to Colorado. So once again, people don't realize once conference realignment started to happen and you invited more people into your conference, it kills everything, which is why Texas and Oklahoma fans don't realize what's about to happen when they join the SEC. Just be prepared for consistent 8-4 or 7-5 type seasons, because now you've invited, the rest of the SEC into your territory to recruit.
Ooh, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't know how they're so bad, but I do want to hear your breakdown of Caleb Williams, because obviously he's a really talented player, but this also plays into something we're going to talk about later with Drake May from North Carolina. People are already saying that they think Drake May would be QB1 this year, which I love it. You got the smile going. Just say it. Say it now.
That's why I put that in there, Ross, because I saw the tweets yesterday and I'm like, these people here are relentless. This is just like 2017 when they didn't like the quarterbacks that were the top quarterbacks, which were Mahomes, Kaiser, and Deshaun Watson. So they was like, oh, next year's going to be great. And what they meant was Rosen, Darnold, and Josh Allen. Like, I see the game that they're playing. This year, the top quarterbacks are Bryce Young, Stroud, Anthony Richardson. Low-key, no one's talking about him anymore. And they try to throw Will Levis in there. So I see the game that they're playing. And they always want to say next year's class is the best class, right? I did a commercial on that 8 years ago. I'll share the YouTube clip on Twitter after we're done here. So that's why I threw these guys in here, because it was just a little pettiness on my part. But Caleb Williams, doesn't he remind you a little bit how he plays? Not the same arm strength or arm talent, but how he plays is very Patrick Mahomes-like at Texas Tech. Every time I look up, I see him just scrambling around, trying to buy time, making plays. Next thing you know, he throws a dart down the field and also can create with his legs. So he's someone that has definitely played like you saw him play at Oklahoma, at USC. And I feel like another year of this system and playing this type of style, he probably can be in conversation for QB1 next year, as is the quarterback for UNC that we'll talk about later.
It is interesting because all they talked about last year was how next year's quarterbacks are better. Next year's quarterbacks are better. CJ Stroud, Will Levis, Phil Jerkovic.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Jerkovic and Jerkovic, whatever. And Bryce Young, obviously. And now we're already saying that Drake May in his first year playing is better than those guys in his first year playing. When Bryce Young won the Heisman last year. Very, very interesting. Anyway, USC's laying 34. Is Emory Hunt laying 34?
Absolutely, man. Caesars, all FanDuel, DraftKings, all these places took the money line away. It was like, why even bother? So lay all those points with USC.
Next game up, Washington at Oregon. Washington is 13.5-point favorites. Bo Nix is still playing college football. It always weirds me out when a guy's been playing this long, and I watched him win a game as a true freshman for the team that he ends up then playing against. He's in Oregon now. Is Bo Nix an NFL prospect, Emory?
Ross. Now, you know why I put Bo Nix here, right? Because you asked the question the wrong way. You asked, is he an NFL prospect? And you know which direction I tend to go in. He is a professional football prospect. But yes, I think he is an NFL prospect. Um, there's ranges. We're watching this now in the NFL manifest itself in the likes of Taylor Heineke, in the likes of Sam Ellinger, although I think Heineke is better than Ellinger. So yeah, Bo Nix definitely improved this year. Plays the same way Taylor Heineke plays. You know, that athletic escape artist. But we need to see Bo Nix versus tough defenses in big games. We obviously everyone wants to point at Georgia game, but that's why this game here versus Washington, in which they are 13.5-point favorites. You know, can you handle success? Washington's defense challenges you in unique ways, especially on the perimeter. So they're going to test Bo Nix's ability to be consistently accurate outside the numbers, and that's going to determine whether or not he graduates from Taylor Heineke to in that, you know, Jalen Hurtsian type uh realm where, okay, this guy is playing great situational football and doing the things necessary to win these big games, because that's the one element of Bo Nix's game. You know, I always joke about America's quarterback, and there's ranges to that. You know, there's the PJ Walkers, there's the Taylor Heinekes, and those guys that play a fun brand to watch, but they aren't consistent. You want to see Bo Nix graduate from that group into, you know, the more consistent style of play that you see from the position.
What about, speaking of Washington's defense, do they really have another good corner? Because every NFL game you watch, there's at least 2 Washington DBs in it.
Yeah, and here's the thing. The reason why I threw Jordan Perryman on there, because he was an FCS guy last year. He was UC Davis, the Aggies. Dan Hawkins doing a great job out there with that program. They're down this year, but they've been consistently good under Hawkins. And Perryman was their top pro prospect, their top corner, transferred up to Washington. And he's someone that can play off. He could play press. He's got length. He's about 6 feet, 200 pounds, got good size. Kind of reminds me, he's not the athlete this guy is, but he kind of reminds me a lot of Marlon Humphrey and how he plays. So for me, having someone like that on the outside that can play with length, play with press, and also do a good job of playing the ball or tracking the ball when it's in the air, and he's a good open field tackler. So I like Perryman. I think he has good all-around game.
You laying the 13.5, or you taking the points with UW?
I'm taking the points. I feel like 13.5 is a lot of points. Washington showed me something last weekend against Oregon State. First of all, Oregon State tricked that game off. Take the points when you can. Points add up. Stop going for it on fourth down when in a bad windy game that they played in. Went for it on fourth down twice instead of kicking the 6 points that they would have gotten, and you lose by what, 3 points or 4 points? You would have had the game won had you kicked those 2 field goals. So I like that Washington hung around, found a way to win. I think they'll hang around. I'm not saying they're going to win, but 13.5 is way too many points. So I'm taking Washington the points here.
UCF is playing at Tulane, and UCF is getting 2 points. This is a sneaky, low-key, really big game.
Yeah, because and it's funny because CBS Sports will be in New Orleans next week for the big game. They're one of their college football guys chooses where he wants to go for the big game. Last week he was at Tennessee. I think this week they'll be in New Orleans. So I was kind of doing double duty in New Orleans, Ross, because I got to throw this out here, man. I know we both are guys that we follow the rules. We do really good things. We try to be good people.
Yeah.
There's sometimes, man, where you just gotta take the law into your own hands, right? So I know we're coming off of an election day, and voter integrity is like everybody's talking about it, right? But man, quiet as kept, Ross. We'll find out today if the University of New Orleans approves football, because the kids voted 7th and 8th. I'm sorry, Ross. I know you probably feel the same way. This is one election I'm rigging. If I'm UNO, I'm like, listen, yeah, y'all can vote, but the vote's already decided, man. We're going to get football, and they already had their helmets out. They have a whole promotion called, Wake the Lake. They have a football stadium rendering that they're trying to also attract a Major League Soccer team. So we'll find out the results of the vote today. But I have a feeling UNO will have football and they'll be in the Southland Conference as an FCS team. I said all that to say this. New Orleans football is booming at the college level. Tulane, my opinion, is playing fantastic defense, and that's why Dorian Williams is my guy. He's a slimmer guy, but he plays inside linebacker really well. You know, he kind of plays like Demario Davis, one of these linebackers that look to hit. He's not afraid of contact. He's always about having a physical discussion at the line of scrimmage. And those guys I want playing at the second level. You saw the difference of Roquan Swift makes on a defense that also had Patrick Queen playing the same position. Roquan Smith is trying to find you out and seek you out and put you on the ground. That's what Dorian Williams does at the position. But yeah, I'm rigging these votes if I'm UNO. But voter integrity is important, but I'm cheating to win.
What about UCF? Who you got there?
Ryan Swoboda, tackle Ross. He's listed on there. Now we know how the rosters goes. He's listed at 6'10". Whether he's 6'10" or not, right? That's still pretty large for a guy. And obviously the quickness is a little bit questionable with guys beating him around the corner, but the length you can't coach. It's kind of like how Dan Skipper was at Arkansas. When you're that long and that tall, yeah, you may get beat by quicker, twitchier defenders, but if he gets his hands on you and get those long arms on you, it's a tough out. And in the run game, I think he's surprisingly good in terms of how he reach blocks and when he climbs to the second level. Again, if you are not able to beat him to the spot, he's going to get you and put you away and open up a lane for the run game.
Moment of truth, Emory. I know what you're going to do. UCF is getting 2 points. What are you thinking?
Listen, I watched at the sports book last weekend. I watched Tulane versus Tulsa. Like, Tulane's defense, man, is legitimately good. I feel like they have a top 5 defense in college football. And UCF wants to play up tempo. They want to spread the field. Tulane's going to slow this thing down to a grind, man. So I'm going to say Tulane. They playing at home. I'm pretty sure they're going to pack Ullman Stadium, on-campus stadium. I like Tulane. I'm laying these points here with the Green Wave.
That's a cool stadium. I did a game there a couple years ago. I really enjoy that place. All right, last but not least, we're going to get to UNC Wake, where I'm expecting at least a decent amount of touchdowns. And speaking of touchdowns, you can follow all the action on one screen and catch every touchdown every Sunday thanks to NFL Red Zone, available on Sling Blue Plus Sports Extra. Sling's easy to set up, easy to use, and now you can try it for half off. Just visit sling.com/DraftKings to sign up today. Watch every touchdown live every Sunday afternoon with NFL Red Zone on Sling. For a limited time, get Sling Blue and add on Sports Extra with NFL Red Zone for half off your first month. Regular $46, now only $23. That's right, you get the best deal on Red Zone, so you can catch all the touchdowns at the lowest price with Sling TV. Visit sling.com/DraftKings to sign up today.
Can you see that, Ross? That's the privateer helmet. Like,
that's an awesome helmet.
I know.
Like the pirate like that? The UNO privateers?
Yep.
That would be awesome. Absolutely awesome. Speaking of awesome, evidently this quarterback from UNC, by the way, UNC's catching 3.5 on the road at Wake. Evidently this quarterback, Drake May, is pretty darn good, Emory. What have you seen?
He is really good, man. I just wish he gets out that number 10 because it's going to scream Trubisky vibes, right? But he's really good, man. He's like able to throw on the move. He's athletic. He never feels like he's down in the ball game. I think he's better than Sam Howell, who was very productive in that same offense. But his passes are way better. It's better arm strength, better athleticism, fluid athleticism. So, yeah, he is a really good player. You know, I just worry about, people crowning these guys so early because now the hype that is not his fault. He's going to have to live up to the hype because we talked about this before, how draft Twitter works, where if you like a guy, then the next guy got to like him better than you. And then you got to, you know what I'm saying? It's just crazy how it constantly goes. But yeah, he is an excellent quarterback. And the good part is that they're never out of a game. They should have blown the doors out of UVA last weekend, but you had like uncharacteristic drops by these wide receivers, some in the end zone, hitting guys in the life, and the ball just like, man, what are you doing? They should have blown out UVA. So maybe that's why they're underdogs going into Wake Forest, because I think UNC's offense gives them a chance, but their defense is so questionable. That's probably why they are also underdogs.
What about Kobe Turner, the D tackle for Wake?
Came from Richmond. Big fan of him when he was with the Spiders. A guy that's a quick defensive tackle, obviously a 3-tech at the next level. Kind of wanted him to stay and be that big fish in a small pond at Richmond, but he goes to Wake Forest. He's playing really well. A guy that's definitely going to be a pressure player. And again, we talked about pairing up, matchups. Him getting quick interior pressure forces me off the spot and forces him to change his launch pad, which gives Wake Forest a chance because it's so fast and aggressive at the second and third level. So Kobe Turner is someone that's going to find himself into a postseason all-star game, probably the Shrine game or NFLPA game, but definitely one to watch because he was a star at Richmond.
UNC's getting 3.5. They're on the road at Wake. What are you doing, Emory?
That hook, man. If it was 3, I would probably go with Wake. So because we're talking about this on a Wednesday and they still have the hook there, I'm going to take UNC in the points here. I think whatever that over-under is, definitely smash that over. If it's not in the 100s, smash it. So I'm going plus 3.5 and taking the over blindly before you tell me what it is.
I'm a big fan, by the way, of getting 3.5 points. I love that. I love getting 3.5. Washington came through for me on the Even Money podcast against the Vikings. Emory comes through for me every week at FBall Game Plan on Twitter, Football Game Plan on YouTube. It's never too early to sign up for the draft guide, footballgameplan.com/2023 draft guide. Appreciate your patience. Usually we get this out on Monday mornings. This week it was Wednesday morning because we call games. We're not the people that just sit at home all the time. We actually go to stadiums and talk to coaches and call games. And I think we're done here. Wait a minute. It's that the keg's kicked. We're all tapped out.
Thanks for listening to the College Draft Podcast. Make sure to also subscribe to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, Fantasy Feast, Even Money, and The Business of Sports. All available at Apple Podcasts, rosstucker.com, or wherever podcasts can be found.